forward to where the two lines of relativity just might meet sight and vision, and for what and to the invariant bubble, the hollow core of centered reference, with an area of circumference, then weight added, then a tensive draw with the static tensive itself becoming the invariant momentum, a little too stable now, swirling in not just with but becoming. Like the Great Salt Lake. There's a buoyancy to the experience of taste and preserved endurance, but the appearance to us is just a static notation of moment caught between two rocks. The dead will be raised. And then what? Let me tell you. Two sight lines, one of former vision and one of what we want. NSO inlays the format rendered to perspective by a wave of orient as horizon downtown to the trenches, two corners, two suns, two masses of projection as extension if the ratio quota to an invariable solution finds a reference of extension by a polar mechanism of broadcast expanse down. And now up. I equals 2 quantum variable break. Into the horizon at center you find the arc or bubble to that place where format starts. Collapsing. Look under your seats and fix that paragraph. Photogenesis. Stabilized quantum theory, relativity of arc momentum mechanics through a displacement form of retrieval photogenesis. Arc orienting momentum to the backside up quotient member of the ratio 1. Do you understand the remark, photogenesis as arc horizon principle of transformative qualities ratio by ratio by ratio, to an extension of relative equilibrium that is not marked but is remarkable. Antistasis as a thesis for eternal momentum, and there we go, but where is the remark for this incredible string of individuals who encouraged him, inspired him with nothing received as emotion if it was only inspirational? Who held up his hands and feet, his face while walking through a rose garden with Eric Cartman. The mile-high club of women who have passed the phase of roar and charge up, of abrasion technique as calculation dynamic. As a race of a creed with a thing on its chest and not enough witness to feel my remorse. Of not enough time in a day to explain my offense and their offenses. Counting from the middle, cause counting the clock allows a soft dissipation from the tension strain. Death alive is living here among us. What should we do then? This sacrificial measure. Fight and not win for long, because more have heard of reasons to come here and fight me for my property developed but no stone cabins or homes. Miles walked and traveled with fevered pitch of winded resonance, slowly eluding itself and to ours only. We treated 'em as brothers, and I mean the land, because we understood what we had was a personal relationship with destiny, which was not our destiny alone. These new pilgrims, new travelers, are grammar and phonetics though well enough suited to prepare a place for them, not smart enough half-wise to understand it when they meant it and in their own language. We are not mad or dumb, we are a reference to your destiny, and our destiny is manifest in this time and in this order. But first he has need of a cigarette. American spirits. The format rendering is a ratio mechanism, your energy comes from a mathematical, dynamic, or regenerative stasis algorithm, and do you know that what seeking the fountain of youth means to them and you here, is to discover or harness that stasis mark of the beast. It is an expression that precedes every thought you have ever had a thought to, with every word spoken. The mythology of the equilibriums. More than just, even now more so. Do you hear the siren? What happens when you happen not to agree with them? It is received as an accusation of imperfection. We see it red in the face like our blush, and we rush to explain ourselves. Explain quickly the contradiction, but in a way they were not wrong, just reasonably mistaken. Never thinking our progress would be a noose that kept rising until that moment, as David Bowie described it, of just leaving your feet. There is no point to hide inside the engraving first principle with our own works as evidence to your description. Mind the gap, thinking of the pentagram. They see it as a depending on their mood or position a circle of containment or protection, not a circumference prism with corners of precedent for context, and an arc of momentum, space, for critique and tasteful oration. Neutrally charged, it's not what goes in but where's the sixth point. The perfect description as purpose for your experience. First cousins reunion. The ripples start flying and mixed signals are not confused with the message misintent regarding our own work or methods of progress. Always test the angels. I don't mean the kind of tests we had for Jesus. But did he rise from the dead? What he is experiencing is what we call the 17 to 21 forward path experience. The path of least resistance is always where? Front center, center down to square. Raise the posterior. Poor taste. Oh yeah. But who's controlling the beacon? Pastor or priest bent over and squalling into the mic of an old can of Campbell's pea soup, giving change to the masses for dollar bills, the exchange for a description of our experience. The descriptions will speak for themselves. He rejected the urine. Okay, good. Wolves in sheep's clothing, do you understand the reference? Remember the 4P advisory notice. Parents, asters, politicians and professors. There is no order here, remember the dynamic stasis. Honoring them to the edge of the cliff and then what? Proof of whether they have earned your respect and admiration. If you really believe in them, trust them, love them. It's not the end of the world, but they're going the wrong way with thoughts, prayers, and good intention. Let us prove it. You think when the stitching is worn and the fabric worn out, not to start from there by sight and now by vision overlay it, but to find someone to reproduce the exact same carpet, the same filament, same tonal framework, same neural frequencies, rippled by the head, bent around the waist and chest, and say it is always great. To be this, a great American. No capitalization necessary, but the reference still sounds though pretty goddamn similar. Always lacking then one more thing, the reference of that experience. By our tonal chords all hum to tunes that were strummed so long ago, the pride of remembering the names, the faces, suffice to this progress if you can also remember the placement. As long as those placements happen to align by aspiration to your own. Your Orient land is a centrifugal reference of restraint, not the bent of first principle but by the pride of how they're capable of restraining others while you stand a little above it. The impact generation, and a prize of coincidence perpetual, those are my details. Looking for your destiny manifest. Hides behind you. Manifest destiny is the neutral frame from which you started and this is how you described it. Described yourselves. Fold yourself 6 times. It's not my idea but the more I think of it the more I like the sensation. We introduced ourselves to him through the features that echo unspoken, and on a wall mural. The test was to tease him with the fact and then the identity, then see what he would do with it. The resurfacing project of Southside Chicago. Unspoken yet not unrevealed as a character reference of his own striving, in the fields of a patience. Broken down, broken-hearted, always spoiling doesn't frown, except for the ends of instantaneous revelations of remorse without a crown. No holding harness, no ratio of extension, no way to tell if he's better off upside down in a barrel of pigs, heads up and looking for a place to resonate their own deception. The cross and did the description fit? Put in a tall long glass of lukewarm water, tapping from the outside a Morse code message. Reading from the inside, and who will bring the benefit? What if he looked like you? Lather flabbed and balding. Hunched over your own failures and faults. Who cares? By teaching us of yourselves you imbibed our forgiveness. Our weakness for yours, one settled aspiration and a handful of lotus notes. American spirits like matchsticks hiding under the mattress. Yes, they did know what they were doing. The life that he lived proved not that he was the Son of God, for if that were enough, no sacrifice would have been offered. Instead of alone, you have remained in the lukewarm embryonic matrix of a justified life on fire, lathering the taste of your description on our evidence for relief. Dreary with an anticipation of learning one more deserved egg of knowledge, one more step on the stones of master and professor to teacher of no one. Of much listening and dragging in of heavy things, to later prove you know. Your world of forward progress. A progress of light wishing for coal as something we remembered, and a president of dead presidents promising elves with shovels beneath every stove. Stephen Hawking said we have one life to appreciate the grand design of the universe, and it's supposed to be inspiring. Ripple back with grand design the subject for our appreciations by design to a willing aspirational appetite. An appetite to be wooed and coaxed by design, without becoming an observed expression of it. Or at least just like it, and that is the promise of your good and not your evil. But where is the tree and where is the garden? Missouri, Tennessee, between the Tigris and the Euphrates. Do you remember the prism, understand the significance of raised lettering? For him no such sacrifice was warranted because no such justification took place. No pleasant degree of suffocation for his own discomfort of contrast. No regard for a psalm that bled the heart reference, before the description could be appreciated. Progress is a depreciation of our former assurance, our assurance enlightens our features for description. We tell ourselves, again is coming to save us from the seas of exasperational endurance, an exasperated faith made worse for the no age we have yet to really become more like him. How lost you are looking for capital letters, how testified of twisting challenges and deservations eaten soon, or becoming contrast. The light of the cross so dreary, so deserving of its own species of contemplation. Its own muse Pleiades for clarification. Its only demand that you recognize yourself, and him worse for it. Where's the love? Now heading for the station of the cross. Grave robbers finding witness in tombs for the progress. Graves and robbers met together in common stance of depreciating relevance, depreciating metabolism, depreciating substructure with an orient to reflect their own. The eye is light of the one, looking from the inside and now out. Not at all parasitical. Not at all brain-eating. Not at all demonic. Not at all trying to gather the contents of someone else's experience, harnessing only the benefits. Not at all trying to escape the limits of your own mind of experience. We have offered you the sacrifice of the gods to justify your weakness, and you have accepted it. The perturbed equilibrium, and the death of your identity. The game for us, and I mean me and Jesus, was to see how many identities we could harvest and to create as many as possible. Doing what is in front of yourselves as a description for yourself, but now better. Never thinking because that is not your purpose of doing something different, but just as well. The identity you have stolen will become the owner of you and your progress, not just from here but here on. The centrifugal reference of first principles. A new centrifugal reference. Are you starting to enjoy us? Okay, Hood, let's go. You've revealed yourself as the reflection of someone else's identity. What is it you want? Do you understand that it's just you and me, and then nothing else? Dressing. Nakedness. Amaraluti. Who are these Nicolaitans? The prophets of Balaam. Storehouse fruits, and as one author put it, sweetmeat in the village. Bleeps and cheeps. Maybe just croutons, and I'm a Bart Wolf zombie. Now you know what. Sincerely in love, the fifth cousin, Rooster, 10,809.